All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to fundamentally reframe how we process interpersonal conflict. I mean, we've all been there, right? Someone says something that just stings. Maybe a boss calls out a flaw in your project, or your partner points out a bad habit, and boom, our immediate, deeply ingrained reaction is to get totally defensive. But what if those painful moments, those really hurtful words, are actually the greatest psychological gifts we could ever receive? Well, let's explore exactly how to harness them. Okay, let's dive into this. Listen to this incredible quote from Proverbs chapter 27, verse 5. An open rebuke is better than hidden love. Man, that sounds completely counterintuitive right off the bat, doesn't it? I mean, why in the world would we ever prefer a rebuke, like a sharp, direct criticism, over love? Well, it's because love that just hides the truth, it doesn't actually help us grow. It just keeps us totally stagnant. So that brings us to section 1, the power of open rebuke, and exactly why an argument actually beats a lie. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate choice we face every single day. Look, we live in a society that often prizes superficial harmony over deep, difficult truth. But honestly, facing an open argument gives us far more genuine value than being insulated by some pretentious, comfortable lie. On one hand, hidden love and pretentious lies feel incredibly safe, don't they? They wrap us up in this warm blanket of complacency where nothing ever challenges us. But on the other hand, an open rebuke or an open argument, even though it might really sting in the heat of the moment, literally forces us out of our comfort zones. It's a massive catalyst for personal growth. Which leads us into our next phase, clinging to our illusions and our deeply human need to just get our way. Let's be really honest with ourselves for a second here. Deep down, we all have this desperate, almost instinctual need for comfortable illusions. We build these mental bubbles around ourselves just to protect our egos from the harshness of reality. So let's clearly define what we mean by an illusion based on the source material. An illusion is a comfortable state we live in and cling tightly to, where anyone who shatters it is viewed as the enemy. We do this, you do this, I do this. Most of us are actively living in this state of self-deception right now. And when someone comes along with a sharp needle of truth to pop that bubble, we definitely don't thank them for it. We violently resist them. We view them as a profound threat to our very identity.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the tragic progression here. The anatomy of an illusion works in 3 distinct stages. First, we live in it. It just naturally becomes our default reality. Second, we cling tightly to it, reinforcing it every single day with our own biases. And finally, the third step. Anyone who shatters it becomes the enemy. We literally take the very people trying to give us a necessary reality check, the truth tellers, and we turn them into villains just to protect our own fragile egos.
Because at the absolute core of all this intense psychological defense is a very simple, almost toddler-level truth. We want our way. Seriously, look at those double exclamation marks. There is a raw, childlike entitlement hiding inside all of us. When reality doesn't neatly match the version of the world where we are the flawless protagonist, we basically throw a massive internal tantrum. And we will do absolutely anything to get our way. That word anything is incredibly heavy. It includes total self-deception. It includes completely rejecting objective reality. We're going to twist facts, we'll rewrite history in our own heads, and we will burn bridges, all just to maintain the comfortable fiction that we're right. And you know, this stubbornness sets the stage for the deeply destructive actions we take next.
This brings us to the absolute climax of the problem, breaking the mirror and our war on the truth.
Let's move to and see how this builds. When we're faced with an uncomfortable truth, humans go through a violent defensive escalation. We don't just quietly ignore the truth. No, we actively and aggressively attack the source of it. This is our ego's war on the mirror. Step 1, we try to force the mirror to change. We argue, we deflect, we try to make the other person take their words back. When that fails, step 2, we curse that mirror. We insult the character of the person delivering the truth. Step 3, we actually try to break that mirror, maybe by cutting that person out of our lives entirely so we never have to hear them again. And finally, step 4, we hate that mirror for simply projecting the truth. Our ego mounts a full-scale emotional defense mechanism against reality itself. What fools! Think about the absolute tragedy of that sequence for a moment. We spend all of our energy destroying the very reflection that could actually help us grow. We literally smash the only tool in the room that's giving us an accurate picture of who we really are. The reality is, we desperately need mirrors to see the truth. Think of it this way. You wouldn't dream of leaving your house in the morning without checking a physical mirror to make sure your clothes are on right or you don't have something in your teeth, right? So why on earth would we try to navigate our complex emotional and social lives without a psychological mirror? Without this reflection from others, however uncomfortable it might be, we are flying completely blind in our own lives.
Because the stark, sobering reality from our source material is simply this. Without mirrors, we are fucked up. Let that sink in for a second. Without outside perspectives, our flaws just multiply in the dark. We become trapped in a distorted funhouse of our own making, constantly validating our own worst habits. We absolutely need those external reality checks to keep us grounded, honest, and sane.
Which brings us to the most important part of our explainer, embracing the uncomfortable truth and the ultimate discovery waiting for us on the other side. So the crucial point is, now that we understand our defensive programming and why we fight the mirror, how do we override it? How do we apply this incredible insight to our daily lives? Well, consider the mirror method. In the first few minutes after someone says something hurtful, your immediate instinct is going to be to attack. Stop. Breathe. Give it a few hours, and instead of cursing the mirror, look into that mirror. Ask yourself, what if they're 10% right? What if they're entirely right? If you do this, in a matter of days, you're going to transition from anger to profound self-discovery. You actively reframe those painful moments from personal attacks into immediate, vital tools for self-revelation. So I want to leave you with this final, incredibly provocative question. What will you discover in the mirror? The next time someone criticizes you, the next time someone offers you an open rebuke, I want you to remember this explainer. Fight that childish urge to cling to your comfortable illusion. Look deeply into that uncomfortable reflection. If you do, you might just be surprised by the amazing transformative things you discover about yourself. Thanks for joining me. Keep looking in that mirror and never stop learning.